More from Suits.
Well, usually the trial starts and there's a judge, and then, people say things.
You've never done this before, have you?
Well, I never drove a car before the first time I drove one, and I'm still here, aren't I?
Great vote of confidence from your attorney.
I'm your first?
Don't worry, I promise not to be gentle.
Frank, it's nice to see you. One last time.
If it pleases the court...
It pleases the court to decide who speaks and when.
So I think what we're seeing here, obviously, people that watch Suits know it's a great show. This guy's not actually a lawyer, but he's super smart. That's kind of part of the story. And this is apparently his first court appearance. I think every lawyer that's been in court remembers their first court appearance. You hope it goes really smoothly because, quite frankly, new lawyers don't really know what the heck they're doing. They don't teach you all that stuff in law school. Just like Joe Pesci says in My Cousin Vinny, they teach you precedents. And it's kind of true. They don't teach you a lot of practical law in law school unless you do something like I did, which is participate in a litigation clinic where I was actually representing clients as a law student. So I actually got some real world court experience before I even became a lawyer, which was kind of fun. So let's see how Mike Ross handles this situation.
Well, sit down.
We're talking about $4,000 in withheld rent payments?
Yes, Your Honor, but we have receipts for repairs.
Rule number 1, never interrupt the judge. Some lawyers out there might disagree with me. You're not supposed to do it. They don't like it. They usually will snap you back if you do. You just gotta let the judges talk and wait your turn. But Mike doesn't know that yet, and let's see what the judge does.
Repairs, lost clothing, as well as...
$4,000, yes, Your Honor. She was talking to me.
Why hasn't he paid, counselor?
That one was for you.
Bed bugs, Your Honor. I have receipts that show my client's financial outlay to rectify the problem far exceeds the amount.
Housing department certified the presence of bed bugs?
Yes, Your Honor.
Abatement?
Let's give you.
I'll do. Yep.
Your Honor, this is an eviction hearing. The pertinent question is not habitability, but whether or not rent has been paid.
Actually, city code states that rent may be withheld if the warranty of habitability is breached.
So ironically, going back to law school for me and working in that civil litigation clinic, these were cases that came up quite often where folks couldn't necessarily afford a lawyer, would come to the clinic at Boston University and they'd say, hey, look, my apartment is really bad. I've got cockroaches or I've got a leak or whatever it is, and I don't want to pay my rent. And so the argument there is called the breach of warranty of habitability, which basically says that the landlord has got to give you a place that's habitable. It's got to be clean. It's got to be safe. It's got to be in good working order. And if it's not, then you have an argument that you shouldn't be paying the full rent. So let's see what happens next.
In that case, we request to see the checks Mr. Ross's client has placed in escrow.
The
Checks in escrow, pending the outcome of a rent abatement hearing.
That's not in the code.
It is the accepted practice.
And therefore binding in this courtroom.
Your client did put money in escrow, I assume.
So what they're talking about here, folks, is that if you're going to say, hey, I don't owe you rent, you got to deposit that rent in an escrow account, which just basically means you're setting that money aside pending the outcome of what's going on in the courtroom. Sounds like he didn't do that here. Probably not good for him.
Have any money left? I had to pay for everything.
Eviction upheld.
But Your Honor,
Did you see me bang the gavel? That means step aside. Next case.
You never forget your first.
Karinsky owns 5 buildings, and they all used to be rent controlled, but now they go for $1.5 million a unit.
Nice profit margin.
I went to look for housing department complaints in the year prior to his remodel. In each one of them, tenants who couldn't buy into the conversion ended up with some complaint. Garbage, heat, air, all of them, one by one. Karinsky drove them out.
You couldn't get their names from housing complaints?
No, he gave me some names, but I need to make this bigger than just his building.
Look, I only get 1 hour off a day for lunch and I never take it. Do you really need me for this?
See these people who are leaving the building?
Mm-hmm.
The entire building looks like them. I know I clean up okay, but...
You need me to class you up a bit.
Not class, but
Class.
whatever gets you through the door. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Hi there. My wife and I are here to see some of the new units. Isn't that right, honey?
Wonder how Prince What's-His-Face feels about that. All right, so, you know, these shows are great because they create these amazing facts for these cases. So what you're basically hearing here is kind of laying a foundation for this guy that owns these properties. He wants to get these people out so that he can upgrade whatever, sell them for a higher price. And what's he doing? My guess is he's throwing bed bugs in them to get the people out of there or stuff like that.
It's fine, but I like the place on 52nd better.
52nd, that's awful close to your mother.
No. We're not talking about my mother.
Okay, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, I love being near your mother. I love your mother.
Can you tell us something about your little building?
Well, I think you'll find that not only are the amenities top quality, so are the tenants.
That's good to hear. Because we're not just looking at buying square footage, but really put down some roots.
Well, that is such the right way to look at it.
Is it?
Yes, and I think you'll also find that the people who've bought here, they're like you. They're young, ambitious.
We're acting.
Must you keep touching me? Is there
Must you keep touching me?
questions I can answer?
I'm sorry. My wife here, my beautiful wife, is just...
She's not wearing a ring, I don't think.
Sometimes, you know, you wouldn't believe how long it took her to just go out with me in the first place. Forever. Are there any other tenants who have been here for a while? You know, who might be able to show us the ins and outs of the place, the neighborhood?
Well, the building was totally renovated 2 years ago, so most of our tenants are newer. We only reopened in January. But I think there are some of the old tenants who bought in.
Do you think that we might be able to speak to them?
Just to be sure.
It would really make us feel more comfortable. Ow! Feisty. So in love.
Yes.
So in love.
Oh, you brought a sack lunch. We would have shared.
Amusing.
As was this, your little lawsuit.
Take your sack of presents and run, kid. You're in way over your head.
Oh, I think he'll be just fine. Hello, Vivian.
Hello. So the rookie called in the veteran.
No, I'm just here to watch. I love spectator sports.
Do you enjoy watching the Yankees destroy a little league team?
David and Goliath happens to be one of my favorite stories.
Okay. I'll bite.
Everybody loves Harvey.
Alright.
He's the best.
Hey, what are you doing?
Oh, do you recognize this carpet?
Make him get that out of here.
This is your own carpet, Mr. Karinsky. It's from Frank Carvello's apartment. Come on. You feel the fibers, the texture. It's almost alive.
You brought bed bugs in here.
Whoa. That's vandalism, assault.
You know, I'm happy that you put it that way because that's exactly what we're going to be charging your client with.
What are you talking about?
He didn't just fail to eradicate a bedbug infestation, he actually created one. Yeah, he pulled the carpet from one of his old buildings, carpet that was already infested, and then he reinstalled it in my client's apartment to drive him out.
That's not good.
You might want to warn your client about perjury. We've got sworn testimony from the installer.
And a picture of the same carpet from one of his old buildings before it was renovated. By the way, my wife and I really love what you've done with the place. So it looks like we're talking about what? Assault, violations of rental codes, health codes, and just basic codes of human decency.
And if a jury in New York heard all that, wow, imagine the damages.
Harvey, please.
Just get that carpet out of here.
So, Vivian, how am I doing for my first time?
Boy, you just don't see a lot of stories like this in the real practice of law, but pretty clever on his part. Great investigative work, and that, I think, highlights from the attorney side what's really important in a scene like this: quality investigative work. And that's super important when you're an attorney, that you turn over every rock, you look everywhere, because you never know what you might find.